which he could switch on and off, just like he does in mice. The artificial chromosome could even be upgraded like computer software before being passed on to the next generation. Any alteration comes with a kind of money-back guarantee.
It does in the sense that you're not stuck with it. I mean, you're not changing the genome forever. You can change it, and if you're pleased with the results, you can keep it. If you don't like it, then you get rid of it and go back to the previous situation. And this is very important because what we may think is brilliant today, 20 years from now may seem pretty stupid. And whatever they think about in 20 years from now will be stupid 20 years hence. So it's very important to make the system reversible. And I think that's technically possible.
What's wrong with it? You would say, well, give them an unfair advantage. But some people now are born with, much better abilities than others. And we don't say they shouldn't be born.
It's graduation day at Oxford University, a university famous throughout the world for academic excellence. But it's a place where only the most intelligent are allowed in. For Watson, these kids were just lucky in the genetic lottery. But why can't those with bad genetic luck be allowed to improve themselves or their children?
It seems unfair that some people don't have the same opportunity.
Watson thinks it's inevitable that this inequality will be overturned.
Once you have a way which will improve our children, no one could stop it. If you had the technology, you'd be stupid not to use it, because someone else will. Those parents who enhance their children, then their children are going to be the ones that dominate the world.
Good to see you, man. I can see anything.
A lot of people dislike genetics because we're talking about inequality, and people say who have cystic fibrosis, they don't want to be declared unequal. And so they can say, we're different, but basically it doesn't matter. Deep down, when you get close, it does matter.
Cystic fibrosis is just one of 5,000 genetic disorders that have so far been identified. One in 25 people carry the gene and therefore have a chance that their children could suffer from it. The cause of genetic disease is one of the many things that 50 years ago Watson helped explain when he made his big discovery. When he saw the beautiful spiraling double helix shape of DNA, he saw how DNA copied itself, how genetic instructions could be passed on through generations. But he also saw that his copying process could make mistakes. These mistakes could occasionally be beneficial, and that would allow organisms to improve and evolve. But the majority of the copying mistakes were detrimental, the cause of genetic disease. That's the theory, but today Watson is more concerned with the practical. The final place Watson wanted to take us on his tour of the future looked like just another lab.
In these two sections of the lab, it's mainly movement disorders and neurodegeneration. That's where a lot of patients in clinics above the age of 50 start developing tremors. So we have a clinical senior scientist.
This is Kay Davis, and this is her lab in Oxford, a place where they look for cures for a variety of different genetic diseases.
Design a treatment.
She has a team of scientists and all the latest equipment.
So all of this is genetic analysis. By that
it's an expensive operation, and it's supported by the fundraising of Jim Watson.
But it would also fund things like the PCR machines, which amplify the DNA several millions of times. So we can take a small sample and then analyze it, because we can copy it lots of times and then get enough of it to look at the details.
For Watson, labs like these are the culmination of a lifetime's work.
What we're talking about is what's the real diseases, really serious diseases that we have an opportunity to do something about.
Serious diseases no child should be born with. There's no purpose to, it's all Darwinian. There's been, selection of those the fit, and then constant generation of new variability. That's it. There's always new variability. There had been no new variability, there'd be no evolution. But the price of this variability is some people are born with variability which is no good. What I call genetic injustice. And what the world of human genetics is trying to do is to reduce the level of injustice. It's not out to create the perfect human or anything like that. It just sees this form of, just like any form of injustice, is corrupting if you accept it. So we can't accept it.
And that's ultimately why Watson wants to play God. But while he argues for forging ahead, even some of his allies have reservations about controlling our evolution.
The fact of the matter is this is all uncharted territory, and we don't know what decisions people are going to make. And it's scary. It is frightening, and it's exciting, both.
If you have a child that is mentally retarded, it's easy to say, why shouldn't I do everything I can to make sure that that child is now at least in the middle of the curve? Okay, that's a fairly simple kind of judgment to make. But I think, on the other hand, an important aspect of humans is that we're very different, and we actually all have different types of intelligences. And to try to push one type of intelligence versus another, I think it becomes possibly a dangerous thing.
I love the fact that we are as diverse a species as we are. I love the fact that we have such a diversity of temperaments and such a diversity of intellectual styles and ways of seeing the world and ways of going through the world. And I don't want to start narrowing that range. I don't want to give people a sense that they have to start narrowing and narrowing and narrowing and producing kind of little vanilla children as a kind of a ghastly thought.
I've lived all my life with people saying don't do something. So I'm used to these people. Most people are, to one degree or another, are afraid of change. They don't know how they'll fit in with change. I think you often have to move in directions where if there was a majority of vote, they'd be against it because they don't really know what you're trying to do, and there isn't time to convince them. I've never worried about offending someone. I mean, I think it's just say the truth.
Jim Watson has always been controversial. It's probably in his DNA. But perhaps his most powerful defense of his science rests on the potential good it could do.
Scientists, doctors are the people who are going to do the miracles of the future. Let the lame walk, stop the cancers, restore sight. It's all sort of within our vision. And so I don't worry that, some people say we're playing God, but that's an awfully good thing to do because people are looking for gods to do good things.
In our last interview with Watson, we asked him how he would like to be remembered.
Probably, that I care for society. And probably less selfish than I might have been.